Christians in Latin America. You can go and ask any of them, do they have the right to go and claim the right to their homes inside Palestine? None. No. Nobody. Palestinian Christians, at least 1 million in Latin America, and at least 500,000 in America, and refugees in Lebanon, in Jordan, in Syria, everywhere in this world. Do they have a right to go back? No. But about 7 years ago, Jewish extremists, Zionists, burned one of the holiest Christian churches in Palestine, the Church of Bread and Fish on the Lake of the Galilee. Burned it down to the ground, one of the oldest churches. This is the one when Jesus performed a miracle and fed the poor. And the church was built on that site. It was burned to the ground. I can cite you hundreds of churches now in Palestine stand abandoned, and Palestinian Christians inside Israel not allowed to approach it. Not allowed to approach it. You will not respond until you apologize for lying and saying that Palestinians live on equal footing inside Israel.
You tried to censor me.
No. I want you to apologize for coming here and spreading lies. Stop it. I want you to apologize for coming here and daring to claim that Palestinians inside Israel live on equal footing like Israeli Jews. I want you to apologize. I just cited one small example. I have tens of examples to bring to you about the Palestinians who live inside the state of Israel. About the 400,000 Palestinians who live inside the state of Israel, who have an Israeli citizenship, but they are internally displaced, who are not allowed to go back to their homes and villages inside Israel. They live inside Israel, but they are refugees inside Israel. They are internally displaced today. Such as the Christian Palestinians of the town of Ekret in the north of Israel, the town of Ekret, whose town was destroyed all the way to the ground in 1952. And the only thing that left remained not destroyed was the church. All of their homes were destroyed. And they were made refugees or displaced inside the state of Israel. They live everywhere inside Israel except their own hometown, Ekret. Until now, they are unable and not allowed to go back to it. And the same thing also on La Plaza.
Can we control this? I mean, because I'm just saying, like, I get it. Like,
I finished, but I know you have no shame.
Apologize.
Yeah, exactly. You have no shame. You have no shame for claiming a lie like this. Go ahead and address this lie. Address this lie only.
Okay.
Only the Palestinians who live inside Israel. Address this point. Don't start playing, with points here and there.
No. The point is the same. Number one, I'm African American, so no one has authority to enact any authority over me. You have no authority over me. So whatever you feel inside you that thinks you have an authority to make me do this or do that, I don't know. You have to remove that from your.
Well, here's what I thought.
Oh, I need food a little bit.
So you should. My thing is, you lied about the baby bullet thing. I went to Google it and saw some horrific headlines. I don't appreciate that. Go ahead and went and found out that it was a myth. And I agree with Samud. You're lying, and just apologize. You can't do it. So I don't want to hear anything.
Wow. That's sad. Question for Samud. Were there any Palestinians who sheltered European Jews during or after, well, I should say during or before the Holocaust? Are you aware of any Palestinians who gave shelter to individuals fleeing Nazi Germany?
That's true too.
I want you to listen to this. In 1937, let me know if I go in or out, evading an arrest warrant for aligning himself as leader of the 1936-1939 Arab revolt in Palestine against British rule, he fled and took refuge in Lebanon and afterwards Iraq. This is a story about Husseini. What's his first name? Let me see. Amin al-Husseini. Okay, he then established in fascist Italy and Nazi Germany, which he collaborated with during World War II against Britain, during a meeting with Adolf Hitler backing for Arab independence in opposition to the establishment of a Jewish national home in Palestine. Upon the end of the war, he came under French protection and then sought refuge in Cairo. This is pretty long. But basically it's saying that he provided a place for Jews when they came to Israel and they were fleeing Nazi Germany. Were there others that anybody know of? Were there Muslims, Arabs in Arab Muslim countries that gave Jews refuge during the Holocaust? Do we know?
Okay.
No, I'm doing the research.
Yeah, there is Palestine. That's where a lot of Ashkenazi Jewish from Europe migrated to.
And they found refuge
What was the
attacked
question?
when they arrived.
Pardon?
Were they attacked when they arrived?
No,
No.
they weren't. No, they weren't. They were even given passports. There's the famous, clip of the first Israeli prime minister, female prime minister, what's her name again? Anyway,
Golda Meir.
Golda Meir. She talked about traveling and having a Palestinian passport.
She was Palestinian herself.
Yes, she's Palestinian.
She does claim that. So,
They
so there's
acknowledged Palestine before Israel was.
So is that what's really going on, that a lot of Palestinians feel like they openly embraced European Jews and
Bingo.
then
Yes.
after openly embracing them, that they turned around, spit in their faces, and stole their homes?
Yes, which by implementing those banking systems, they gained influence from the U.S. to come help them do it. That's why Jewish people are really good at mental warfare opposed to physical war.
And do you have any links for that? You know, like, is there anything anybody can read to study more on that? Because I think that's an important conversation too.
Yeah, I could probably look up something. There's a lot of stories about that. If I wanted to comment on this, number one, I would say myself as a Palestinian, the religion of Judaism is totally innocent of what is taking place in Palestine. Number one. Number two, Jewish people in general did not have or do not have an inherent animosity or an inherent desire to colonize Palestine. This is political Zionism is something that was concocted recently, 120 years ago. Number three, Palestinians, Palestine was part of the whole area, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria. It was almost one area historically. And in this land, people of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, though in a small number, they all lived and coexisted peacefully. History proves it. Jewish communities lived, prospered in Beirut, in the heart of Beirut, in the heart of Damascus, in the heart of Aleppo, Syria, and if we want to go also Baghdad, and especially these three areas, Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. People migrated. For instance, in the year 1730, Akka, the city of Acre, became a very prosperous city. Its population from 400 to 25,000 people became the number one economic city. The ruler of that city, Tahir Omar, chose a Jewish person from Damascus to carry out his financial work, everything, take care of the finance. So this Jewish man was the second person after Tahir Omar in the town of Acre. It was no problem at all. So this is how it was. People identified themselves. A Jew from Damascus called himself a Damascus. A Jew from Beirut called himself a Beiruti, or from Saida, someone a Saidan. Did not say like I am. No, they belonged to their own localities. They spoke their own local dialects, and this is how we lived. Palestinians welcomed any minority that wanted to take refuge in Palestine, such as the Armenians, such as the Circassians, and also in the year 1880, a group of Yemeni Jews decided to come to Palestine for religious purposes, and they were welcome. There was no problem at all. But Palestinians did not welcome European Zionist Jews who started coming in the beginning of the 20th century, and they had a malicious plan. They started establishing communal, exclusive farms that are only exclusive to Jews. It just didn't sound right, didn't settle well. And this is when the problem as he started.
Exclusive to Jews?
Exclusive, exactly. They call it kipput.
Yes,
communal. Yeah,
Because
communal.
that's the part that I think I'm having issues with. Like when I speak to Moroccan Jews, when I speak to Algerian Jews, Tunisian Jews, most of my dad's friends, they all speak Arabic as their first language.
Right. Yeah, so as far as
different. So are you saying that the tides changed, so that the relationships changed when more and more European Jews began to arrive?
Yeah, so what happened, number one, I am going to exonerate, I would say 99% of the Jews in the world. They are not the perpetrators. What happened is that they were co-opted. They were indoctrinated. They capitulated to an ideology that is Zionism. Such as, for instance, the Arab Jews, like the ones from Tunisia, Morocco, Iraq. A lot of them were pulled. There were new circumstances that they were pulled into Israel. A lot of them didn't want to go to Israel, actually. The rich ones, the ones who could afford going to America, to Europe, they went there and settled there. And until today, some of them, even like maybe in New York or others, do not ascribe to Zionism. But unfortunately, with the strength of the idea of Zionism and the longevity of it, a lot of Jews, unfortunately, have been indoctrinated into accepting political Zionism. Does it make sense, Izzy?
No, it makes a lot of sense. And the reason why it does is having grown up amongst Yemenite and Moroccan, like 70s, 80s were a pretty diverse time for Judaism in Crown Heights and Brooklyn. And what I found is that when those individuals came to New York and were brought even by Eastern European Jews, many of them felt awkward, you know what I mean? Like they're very dark skinned, most of them were darker than I am. That they were encouraged to marry white men and women to kind of make their children a little bit lighter, over time. But they were the ones ostracized and marginalized. And that kind of happens with people who are marginalized. Like if they're going through it, they want to look for someone else that they can kick dirt on so that the pressure is off of them. But I'm really starting to understand why Moroccan, Tunisian, Algerian Jews were at some point, especially those who lived in Arab-speaking countries, why initially they weren't welcomed by the State of Israel. Why initially only certain types of Jews from certain places were welcomed. They were extreme. Most of these Jews of North African descent, of Yemen, Ethiopia, these were very spiritual, very religious Jews. Very, very, we don't have denominations in Sephardic culture. There's no such thing as conservative or Orthodox or Reform, traditional Jews who are Arab speaking, it makes so much sense now that they would not have been welcomed.
They can't be controlled.
Because their belief in God would not have allowed them to engage in certain types of practices. Like they were literally living and flourishing and progressing in Arab spaces. Why would you spit on the very individuals that sheltered you and Christians didn't?
Because they adopted.
And that's what happened in the 60s. Like the Mizrahi Jews who came from Arab countries, they did the universities in Israel. They did the Black Panther movement. It's for like oppressed Mizrahi Jews, like who are oppressed by the Ashkenazi or like European Jews in Israel, which is like it's so documented. You can like anyone can check it. And you see, like, even people stay alive today. It's not like so far away. They will tell you like what happened to them. You know, when they go to the kibbutz, how they like separate them from like the Europeans ones. They give them like dirty jobs. Even the Yemeni Jews, they took their children from them, and they are adopted by European ones who cannot have children. You know, this is happening. This is reality.
Yeah, Izzy, I just want to say something to you quickly. See, like the whole problem is literally the anti-Semitism problem. It's basically a European problem. Jewish everywhere else, they were thriving, having a good life. They were not prosecuted. It's only in Europe, literally. And my hypothesis, I felt like Europeans or European countries are too embarrassed to actually address the issue of anti-Semitism because of how they treated the Ashkenazi Jews in Europe, right? And the Zionism project, it's just a racist project. You know, they use Judaism as a cover-up, literally.
That is true.
And even the founder of the Zionism founder, or one of the major guys, Theodor Herz, he's an atheist. He's not even a Jew believer. You know, he was not.
Most of them were atheists and secularists.
Yeah, most of them were atheists. So the whole thing, like Jews were thriving in Yemen, in Egypt, even in Sudan, in Iraq, in Ethiopia, in Iran. Until today, there's Iranian Jews that live there, and there's an Iranian Jew elected member of parliament in the Iranian parliament today.
More than that,
Guess what? They are so rich. Like Iranian Jews today, they are so rich, like so multi-rich. You know, they have the best life there in Iraq. They don't even need anything from America, you know, or from like to get help from the other Jews. They don't need nothing.
In fact, you want to hear something crazy? When Iranian Jews were coming here, God, this is a long time ago, but when they were coming here, many of the parents, and they did go through some religious persecution under the Ayatollah, but when they came here with immense wealth. And it never made sense to me that some of the richest, like if you go into Brooklyn, and you see some of the synagogues on Ocean Parkway, what is the other one? Is it B'nai Yosef? I have to think, like pure gold, like that they brought from their own country. Some of the richest communities come from Arab countries. How were they able to make that much wealth in those countries, only to come here to be, one, discriminated against by Ashkenazim? Just call a spade a spade. And I've had actually conversations with many community leaders from those spaces, and then to kind of look down on the very people that they lived with at one point peacefully. It's wild. It's wild. I don't know too many Sephardic Jews who came here and cut their names in half and cut off their side curls, spit in their grandparents' faces because they wanted to assimilate to everything but Judaism. You couldn't do that. Dummy, I was talking about Ashkenazi Jews.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking to you, Booty Bandit.